This narrow corridor of water is the Malacca Strait. Positioned between the Malay Peninsula and Sumatra, it functions as the primary choke point for global trade and the energy supply lines of East Asia. Roughly 1/4 of the world's maritime commerce flows through this specific passage. For China, it is the indispensable gateway for the majority of its oil and gas imports. To secure these interests, Beijing has increased its naval presence and expanded its military installations across the South China Sea, directly challenging the existing maritime order. Indonesia finds itself on the front lines of this friction. As its economy grows, the government in Jakarta is facing an immediate need to modernize its military to safeguard its territorial waters. For decades, Southeast Asian nations looking for advanced defense hardware turned to traditional suppliers in the United States or Russia. Indonesia is departing from that pattern. Instead of the usual global powers, it is entering a comprehensive defense partnership with its neighbor, India. By choosing New Delhi as a primary security partner, Jakarta is signaling that regional defense no longer depends solely on the influence of distant superpowers. This shift was solidified through agreements between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Indonesian government, marking a significant expansion in bilateral military cooperation. The centerpiece of this pact is the export of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. The BrahMos is designed specifically to evade modern naval defenses. It travels at 3 times the speed of sound and flies just meters above the water's surface, making it extremely difficult for a target ship's radar to detect and intercept. Alongside the BrahMos, the two nations are discussing the sale of the Astra missile, a beyond visual range air-to-air system. Unlike the BrahMos, which was a joint venture with Russia, the Astra is an entirely indigenous Indian design, reflecting a new level of self-reliance in India's aerospace industry. Integrating these systems allows the Indonesian military to transition from a purely defensive posture to one capable of actively contesting access to its surrounding seas. The effectiveness of these weapons relies on Sabang Port. India is investing in developing this harbor at the northwestern tip of Indonesia. Sabang Port sits directly at the entrance to the Malacca Strait. Stationing BrahMos batteries here creates a massive threat radius covering the western approach. Adversarial fleets are now forced to navigate this narrow bottleneck within range of supersonic coastal defenses. Combining Indian-built infrastructure with Indian-made missiles creates a multi-layered deterrent at the strait's most vulnerable point. This cooperation goes beyond a simple commercial sale. It establishes a physical anchor for Indian military influence over the most important choke point in the world. Looking past the immediate geography, this deal illustrates a major change in India's domestic industrial focus. For decades, India was known primarily as the world's largest importer of foreign weaponry. Today, that priority has shifted toward domestic production. As India's reliance on foreign imports declines, its defense exports are rising sharply. The Make in India initiative is producing globally competitive hardware. These outbound shipments confirm India has moved past its role as a mere consumer. New Delhi is now utilizing its industrial capacity to project naval power and diplomatic influence into regions where traditional powers are increasingly stretched thin. As other nations seek ways to balance against the expansion of the Chinese military, the Indonesia model provides a template for new security partnerships. India has transitioned from a passive importer of technology to an active provider of security, providing a new pillar of stability in the Indo-Pacific.